Hey everybody, morning, afternoon, evening, yada yada. Second Lieutenant Asagbro back here with another video. Sorry I'm a day late. Usually I like to get these out every Sunday and then again more frequently. But I kind of was really lazy yesterday. I actually had a fun time out on Saturday with a friend from college who was actually living out here now, so I actually got to do something. Been pretty bored lately, but yeah, apologies. Hopefully this reaches you. But yeah, let's get into it. I just came from work, as you can see, wearing my blues. It might be different for those of you active duty or going to be active duty. It might be different on your base, but as per our commander, Mondays are Blues Mondays, where all military members come in your blues. Also of note, you don't see, I keep doing that because of the backwards thing. You don't see any of my ribbons here. Something that I learned recently, wearing your ribbons outside of formal occasions or out on the town, so to speak, kind of looked down upon. So everybody, no matter how senior you are, usually when we're around or we're on base wearing our blues, we don't have our ribbon. So I have my ribbon rack actually here, but I don't have it worn because it's not preferred. So you just get the all natural, and then the clip you usually won't have, or you may or may not rather, but this just holds my cat card, my computer access card or common access card. I keep forgetting which one. But either way, my military ID, so you can always know who I am, yada yada yada. Normally I have it on my sleeve when I'm wearing my ABUs, but for appearance sake in the blues, it's more neat. And I keep my security badge on the other side for when I'm going to work in the labs. Anyway, yeah. Jumping into it. Again, for those of you new, I work at Edwards Air Force Base, the Air Force Research Laboratories over in California. I am a rocket propulsion chemist, so I work on the chemistry side of rockets, specifically for solid propellant. So I help make things go up and go fast and go farther. Still fairly new on it. It's a lot to take in, but I'm liking it so far. It's like I get to pretend that, when you're a kid and you're like, I want to be a doctor and a fireman and all of that. I'm finally, I get the chance to say I'm a rocket scientist. So I get to be Dexter, which is pretty cool. The laboratory cartoon, not the killer. What am I going to talk about today? So I got a question from someone in a prior, in my last video, Mr. Tim Schaefer. He asked what it was like moving to my first location, and this is something I do want to bring up because it was fairly important and a bit not traumatic, but think of a good word, a bit drastic. Let me just fix the light here. Try not to get everything too bright again, sorry. Yeah. So again, I was initially from New Jersey, and I went down to Maxwell AFB for OTS training, and then from there I was sent to here, California. I had never been to California, so I had to first move into the main bit. And this, sorry, before I get into further, these circumstances might not be the same for you. I will be again speaking from a non-prior enlisted member's side. So your mileage may vary. This is what happened to me. It might be different for you, enlisted or non-prior. Prior or non-prior at your base that you will be going to. It might be the same. Just keep that in mind. But I was stationed here at Edwards. So when you go to your next base, I believe they give you, or at least in my case, they give you 2 weeks, which is 2 duty weeks. That is 10 days, Monday through Friday, twice, to find a place to stay. Up until then, they give you those 2 duty weeks of free base lodging. That is, you can live on on your base for up to, I believe, 14 days, and you will be reimbursed for that stay. If you are a prior enlisted member, you will have your government travel card, your GTC, and you will be using that to pay for your hotel stay up until you find a place to move in permanently, whether it is on base or off base. If you were like me, who was not prior, you don't have a GTC, so I had to pay out of pocket and be reimbursed later on. So before any of this happens, I strongly suggest that you save up some money before you commission or before you go out to commission, especially if you're non-prior, because a lot of these things have to come out of pocket. You can go and talk to your I'm not sure if every base has it under the same nomenclature, but your Airmen's Family Readiness Center, AFRC, they can go and help you with any financial issues you might be having, especially if you're new to all of this. But before I knew too much about all of that, I kind of paid for everything out of pocket. So the hotel stay, the house or the apartment that I found, all of that was out of pocket. It got expensive because you have to put the security deposit down, you have to put the rent down, movement, you have to buy new furniture, the gas, the hotel stay, food, all of this was coming out to a point that it did get too much, and I did go to the Family Readiness Center, and they did help me out. So if you are in a bind for money, please look into them because they do help out and they're great. They helped get me a grant, which I didn't have to pay back, and that was good, just to make sure I had enough gas and everything to get around everywhere. And then they gave me another loan for food, which was 0 interest, and I could pay that back at a very generous rate. So again, really cool. But yeah, going back, if you don't have your GTC, you'll be paying. If you do have your GTC, you'll be using that. Either way, you will be reimbursed through your finance. However, if you are a non-prior, it will be a while before your payment is actually finalized. If you were like me, they have to establish the pay record for you, but you had just come in a few months prior, so your pay record established you as an E5 in my case. You are training under an E5. You're brought into the military as an E5, which is staff sergeant, and then you commission as an O1. So you're getting paid as an E5, and then you have to be paid as an O1, even though you haven't been in the military for that long, so they have to keep changing it, which takes them a while to catch up. So don't expect your first paycheck or two to be what you think it is. Non-enlisted coming in. Non-prior, rather. So you get 2 weeks of stay on base, and then you have the option, while you're shopping during that 2 weeks, you can look for base housing or off-base housing. And I'm assuming that it's the same way around most bases. But again, please tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. Base housing is set up in one of 3 ways. One is the dorms for younger enlisted airmen. I think like E1s to E3s, E4s, something like that. Or I believe 2 to 3 years max. They're basically dorms. To my knowledge, I haven't been in one, but that's what I'm gathering. Then you have base housing, which is normal housing on base, normal house. But that is given preferential status to those higher ranking members or those with families. So if I, again, was moving out here by myself, there are people there with children. They will, of course, get the housing because they need them. Their school's on base. It would make more sense for them, or they don't have to be too far from their child. But you can go and apply and see if you get something there, and then, hey, to go to work is just coming out and driving a few minutes away, whereas it's a bit far in my case, a little bit. And then the off-base housing, which is, I could be mistaken, but if you are on base, you do not get any BAH, which is your housing allowance, which is a set rate every month, divided by 2. You get half of it every 15 or so days, the 1st and the 15th of each month. You do not get that because you are living on base, or you get a smaller portion of that, whereas I get the full allotment because it's going towards my rent, which is off base. I could be, I believe I hit the nail on the head with that one, but I could be wrong. But yeah, so for me, you finding a bit off base housing, I went to our relocation center. I forget what it's called, but I went and talked to someone on base in regards to looking for how to find housing, what's good in the area, because I'd never been here before, and then they gave me a list of housings to go through. It's in a folder somewhere. There was a lot of information. I do stress that if you were looking for housing, that you don't just Google housing in the area. You go to this place on your base or wherever, however your base notarizes or lists the housing, the open apartments in the surrounding areas. Please look into that, because they will help you with the paperwork. They will help tell you what you need. Case in point, an important part that I didn't know is as being a military member, you may have to deploy. So that means you might not be in your apartment for 6 months, or you might have to move somewhere because they might need you somewhere, and your lease is still a year long. Well, there is a clause that being a military member, so long as you give that your landlord notice, you can leave. Whereas any other situation, it's not written down somewhere, so you'd have to pay a fee or fine, or you might still have to pay for that year or however long your lease is. Yada yada yada. This is something I didn't know. What else? But yeah, they will tell you what's around the area, and then you can go call and find what you need. In my case, I went there, I talked with them, and then I spent the next day, or the next few days rather, calling around, seeing who had what and where. But by then, I was kind of running low on funds because I was again paying out of pocket for the hotel stay. So I essentially picked one of the first one or two, if not the first place that I went to, which was here. It's not bad, 2-bedroom, nice. And then that's it. Again, if in regards to the security deposit and all of that, though, if money is an issue, please do talk to people on base. Don't just shoulder the burden by yourself. They are there to help you. Something I probably could have looked into a bit more, but either way. Sam, you move in and all that's settled. Prior to all of this, though, and a good point that I didn't bring out is the actual moving of your goods from your duty station to your next duty station, or your commissioning area to your PCSing from one place to another. For civilians watching this or non-prior members going in, PCS is a personal change of station. That's where you're going from one place and you're moving to another. So you can move your goods in one of two ways, or one of three. You can have a Diddy move. I believe it's a do-it-yourself move. That is, again, I could get the names confused. It's a lot of information. Before I even get to it's a lot of information, and it is overwhelming. So bear with me. But one of them is basically you load up a U-Haul truck with your stuff, and you weigh how much this stuff is and the mileage from where you're going to where from where you are to where you're going, the gas, and you head off. You have a certain amount of miles per day that the Air Force will pay you for travel. So I think it's like 8 hours a day or something, and like 300 miles or something like that per day. After that, they're not going to reimburse you for more than that. And this is including your hotel accommodation and stay and all of that. So don't drive like all over the U.S. on a weird route to get to where you are, because the Air Force is going to be like, hey, it takes 2 days to get to where you wanted to go. Even though it took you 5, we're only paying you 2. And then when you offload everything and you move into your new place, you will go to, I think, your finance department or whatever on main base and fill out some forms showcasing how you moved or it might even be done online through move.mil. I'm not sure in the case of the Diddy Move. Move.mil is the website that you would go to put in the paperwork, the electronic paperwork for this move. But you put in how much you moved. That's why you took the weights. You could do it in one of those certified weighing stations on the sides of the highway. It has to be certified. They will stress that. Not like a random truck stop one. It has to be a certified one. Then your mileage, how long it took you, where you were coming from, and all of that stuff. And then based on all the information they gave you, they will give you reimbursement for the travel and the move. The second option would be what I took, is where I had movers come and move my things. I forget what the name. Well, you would put in your application for what you want to move, how much you think everything weighs, what exact things do you have, where it's going to be located, where you're moving, and all of that on move.mil. And then you will be contacted by the movement company that is close to where your goods are. And they will go and verify all the information for you and then let you know when your stuff is to be sent. Let me just mute this. Sorry about the beeping if you do hear it. And there you go, should be quiet. Then they will pick up your stuff. They're usually, I've only gone with them once, but it was pretty cool. I had, since I didn't know where I would be stationed before I moved to Alabama for training, I had stored all my stuff in storage in boxes and then moved out. When the movers came, they went into the storage, got everything out, and then assessed how I had packaged it. And if they didn't deem it safe enough, they would repackage everything, and then they would label and take pictures of everything so that when I got everything back, I would know what was and wasn't there. Sorry, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So I'm assuming it's going to be the case for everybody, but in the event that you're not physically there to move your stuff, like in my case, I needed to be from Alabama to California within 6 days. Didn't make a lot of sense to take a flight back to Jersey and then a flight back to California within a week. So I had family members do the move, which you can stress who you want to be there. You can note who you want to be there to have your stuff moved. That person will oversee the move to make sure everything that you have packed will go. And the movers will take pictures of everything and then send you that receipt or that documentation showing you everything that you should expect and when to expect it. My stuff took about 2.5 weeks to get in. There was a bit of a delay. The truck broke down, but everything got safe and sound. And it was even cool, all the upholstery and things that were like too big, like shelves and whatnot, or tables, they would dismantle them, bring the pieces in. They would have the pieces noted on the paperwork that was emailed to you, and they will come in, reassemble it as you had it stored, and then pack it away. So they do a very good professional job. Everything is covered, taped, bubble wrapped, and all of that. Then you will go to the finance office, and when you're reporting in, or it might also be done online. For me, I had to go in person, and you will fill out a form noting that I went through the movers to move my stuff, but me physically, how did I get here? You can take an airplane, or in my case, drive, because I wanted to take my car with me, and then they will pay you that per diem rate, as I said before. I think they're only, here's where it gets a bit iffy, and again, where your situation might change. If you have a family or whatnot, and you have a few days to go somewhere, and the family has to meet you, well, you can take vacation, but you have to do some finagling, because you're on your orders is a date. Your NTL, sorry, I'm really truncating that, but it's your arrive no later than date. Basically, you have to be on that base at that specific time. Now, maybe they might be cool and be able to push it off, but you have orders saying that you have to be there at a specific day and time. So you can't really take too much time to goof around or to plan or whatever. In my case, I only had 6 days, and it was a 4-day trip driving just to get to California from where I was, I think. So you might have it that you have to have 2 moves, you and then the family to meet you or something like that, but the Air Force is only going to pay for your stuff once, not everybody moving at the same time. So do take that into consideration. But yeah, it wasn't so terrible. Just that it was a lot. It was a lot of paperwork. It was hours just to make sure everything was right, and then it was kind of tough in that you weren't physically there for your stuff, so you don't know how it was handled or where it was, what you may or may not have been missing, and you don't have really a lot of time to finalize that because you have to arrive at your place in a certain amount of days. But if anybody is going through that or will be, please send me an email. I don't mind helping you out because I know it was confusing to me, and definitely something that they didn't really talk a lot about, and it's very important. They didn't spend a lot of time with, so I can definitely help you out. I don't mind to. Or if you want me to clarify something I said in that, by all means, because I did brush through it, but it was pretty tough. It's probably one of the hardest parts of that, especially when I came in. Since that truck was delayed, I couldn't stay here because even though I had signed the contract for being in this apartment, I had no furniture, no fridge, so all the food I would have to have would be fast food, and no bed and all of that. So I had to run out and buy a bed, just so I could sleep here. But I had nothing else, and then I went and got internet installed, just so that I can have Wi-Fi and be able to work and play games or something to buy the time down until my stuff came in. So it does get a bit tricky. Yeah, I think there might be a second part on that though. From Tim, a question is my first duty set up remove. I'm just worried how my family will be while I'm there and move. Yeah, so yeah, Tim, I hope I answered that part for you. You can definitely come back to help your family with the move, because again, remember, when you get on base, they're like, oh, okay, you've checked in, we know you're here, we know where you will be, this is where you will be working, this is what you will need, where you will start, here's your welcome package, here's a tour of the base, see you in 2 weeks, and then that's that. So you can now leave and do whatever, so long as you let everybody know that, okay, you're here, you're going to where you need to go. You might be able to get leave, you might be able to go without leave. I'm not sure how that would work. For me, I stayed in California the entire time, so I didn't have to take a leave or borrow leave. Sorry if I'm saying leave a lot. Leave is basically your time off. I didn't have to take any time off because my family had moved my stuff for me with help of the movers, and my family being my mom, brother and sister, and I'm not even sure if I had friends help. No, I think that was it. So yeah, so let me know if that helped him. If not, send me an email, or write a comment. Everybody as well, please feel free to. What else did I want to talk about too? How to cope with the move. This was something, again, half the reason why I made this, to deal with that. In the event that you move by yourself, with or without family, you're still going to be alone for a little bit of time. And it's probably going to be in a place where you don't know a lot of people. Just hang in there. Remember that you joined the military to put service before self. You're here to complete the mission. You're here to, I'm sounding like a recruiter. You're here to make the world a better place. So go to bed every night, reminding yourself of that. You're sacrificing for the greater good, and it will you'll be rewarded. I know it's gonna suck. You have a newborn child, you have some babies, you have some children, and they're not, I mean, I don't know how that is. I don't have any children, but you're gonna be away from them. This might be the longest or the farthest that you've ever been away from them for a time, but their daddy or mommy is a superhero, so you'll be able to, I know the time loss is more important than anything else, but do know that they are or will be proud of you. And that's not forever also. Again, they will join you. hopefully, usually. There's not that I know of a lot of people that stay separated just because it's easier for one person to stay in one place than the other. There's a lot of things to do on base, especially if you have family. Housing is not almost a guarantee, but a good chance of getting housing on base. And there's a lot to do. It's not like just military everywhere. It is a town. So there's things to do, places to work. There's a lot of spousal help, advice. There's babysitting, daycares, all of that stuff on bases. So there's a lot to do. And I think that's everything I wanted to talk to about in regards to this video. I just wanted to give I guess break it up into topics. So today would just be about moving and all of that. Sorry, I'm tired. Work day. It's been a lot of in the lab, and more of that in meetings tomorrow. Only I'll be in my greens. So, yeah. Anyway, please like, favorite, subscribe, comment, and all of that. Again, I say it all the time. I'm sorry. I will make these videos better. I know I have a song picked out that'll at least give it some background noise, at least for the intros and the outros. But I gotta really stop being lazy and learn how to do that. Hopefully my voice isn't going off too much. I actually wrote some stuff down, so hopefully I wasn't talking with a lot of ums, ahs, and pauses and all of that. But if there's anything that you want me to improve, I know I'm recording this right now at night. I put some of the lights on, but it might be still too hard for you to see me. Do let me know if you want me to move the sword out of the way or stop facing my kitchen and do something else. Get a green screen, a drop, something. Let me know. I'm here to improve it and make you guys happy. Actually, there is something else I did want to talk about, but I guess I could cover that in the next video. But basically, it was about the working during shutdowns is very interesting. It's something I never had to think about before, because it didn't really matter. You work at a private sector job or public sector, whatever. But then now you work for the government, and every time they have the Democrats and Republicans have this fight, you're like, what's with work tomorrow? Because it's going to be really crazy, regardless of whatever, because the Air Force always has to work. But you may or may not be paid. And if you have to go somewhere during that time, it gets loopy. So yeah, I'll put that in another video. But I can cover that, because that's definitely something they don't talk about in training. But yeah, hopefully you've all enjoyed this. You picked up something from it. If you didn't, please let me know how I can improve. Thanks, everybody.